Great way to start the stream. Hi! No, don't cry me a river, not yet. Okay. Professional. Hashtag professional. Anyway, how are you? Everybody good? Professional. The tutorial is 1 minute 54 long. Coincidence? I think not. All right, that's what we're doing, isn't it? That's what we're doing, isn't it? Okay. All right. All right, let's do this. Oh. Did they delete the tweet? Oh, okay. That's gone. Yep. It's gone. YouTube vid. Okay.
Missing the ground. If you want to visit space for more than a couple of minutes, you'll need to get to orbit. An object is in orbit when it's moving sideways so quickly that even as gravity causes it to fall, it keeps missing the ground. As long as that object isn't slowed down or anything, it follows the same path every time it goes around the body it's orbiting. Forever. If that object is a Kerbal, it is recommended that they bring lots of snacks. So since your goal is to move horizontally at a high speed, why not launch sideways? On Kerbin, the atmosphere is like a thick soup. You waste a lot of fuel trying to fly through it horizontally.
The souposphere.
By launching vertically, you cut through the thickest part of the atmosphere as quick as possible. Most orbital rockets begin tilting toward the horizon soon after they leave the launch pad. This maneuver, called a gravity turn, uses the planet's gravity to turn the ship and reduces the amount of fuel needed to achieve a stable orbit. When launching near the equator, your gravity turns should point toward the east, since your vehicle gets a free boost from the planet's rotation. Thanks, planet! Once a vehicle is moving quickly enough that its arc will take it above the atmosphere, it shuts down its engines and coasts to space. Once it nears the top of that arc, the vehicle needs to fire its engines a second time to keep itself from falling back down to the planet. Doing this turns that arc into a nice big circle. Congratulations! You've missed the ground.
Oh, you know what I'll do? You know what? Hang on. I got to shoot a message off real quick. I'm going to leave it on this so it thumbnails it. So people, you know, let's thumbnail it. It'll be funny as hell. It'll come in. I saw KSP too. It'll be great. All right.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
How's that Kerbal eating with their helmet on? I think that... See that? That's bait. So, okay, that's cool. Guys, all right, so... Right, we noticed that there's a couple things in there where it's like, okay. That was about as simple as stuff an explanation as you can get for orbital mechanics. Yeah, so some stuff is not gonna be exact, but yeah, cool. I'm just gonna leave that up, Orion, so it thumbnails. Wait. Should we go? Oh, we have to have the YouTube thumbnail face. Resting thumbnail face.
Discovery, go at
I
throttle.
wish I could give a thumbs down on Twitch. I missed something. Dang it. At least I didn't miss the resub. Dude. You guys know that GIF? Have you guys ever seen... Here, hold on. Let me find it. Hang on. There's that GIF of that guy. Anytime I see anybody make like the weird faces in like YouTube thumbnails. Anytime I see somebody like you know what I'm talking about, like the weird faces in YouTube thumbnails where they're like and you know, stuff like that, I always just think of this. No, I just think. Wait, he can't just launch KSP 2? Oh yeah, here. Let me just hit the launch button right here. Yeah, it didn't work. Oh, hi Das. What's new with you? How's your Das life? All right, what did Airbus, I didn't miss your redeem. I just don't really know what you want me to do. How are you going to get to all the planets in just 4 weeks? I don't know. With science. With science. Kraken drives, maybe. War of the Warships Twitter just popped up in my... Oh. Yeah, I don't hate what's going on right here. Isn't that game terribly grindy to pay to win? Oh, yeah, no. World of Warships is fun. I like World of Warships. We haven't played it in 8 years, though. But it's a cool game. But I'm more just looking at this picture. Bonus points if you can date this picture. If someone can give me a 5-year nominal gap for this picture, you get points. Let's see. Who's a ship nut? 1938. You're off by a good margin. 1943, still off. Yeah, blue, it sucked. 1937, September 45. Nope. 73 to 78. No. 69, 62, 64. Hike. 1992. 2001. The Iowa was retired by 2001. 2015. Nope. Omaha! Well, all right. Just throwing out random dates. The funny thing is, Hillness, is that you're actually close. You're the closest that I've seen. This picture was taken sometime between 1986 and 1991. How do I know? Well, I'm pretty sure they didn't have 20mm phalanx miniguns on the ships in World War II. I'm pretty sure miniguns weren't a thing yet. So miniguns, yeah, probably not. Probably not. That rules out pretty much 1940, 1950, 1960, 1970. The Iowas in the 1980s, dudes, went under a modernization program. They basically took all 4 Iowa-class battleships out of mothballs and upgraded them to basically guided missile battleships. They didn't call them that. They still called them battleships, but they should have called them BBG. Because these mothers have tomahawks on them. See them right there? Tomahawks. In fact, the opening shots of the Gulf War were fired by an Iowa-class battleship launching a Tomahawk at Baghdad. Pretty cool, huh? So, the Iowa was the last battleship to receive modernization, right? It was one of the last ones. So this would put it in the late 80s. And the ship's obviously still commissioned because of all the sailors on board and the Marine complement. Can't forget those guys. Those are Marines. Those aren't sailors. I mean, they technically are sailors, but they technically aren't, but they technically are. Is this the Iowa or just an Iowa class? That answer your question? Martian PDCs. Where do you think they got the idea, man? There you go. I would say... I can't really tell where it is, so... sometime in the late 80s is what I would say. All the Iowas were decommissioned by 1992. Is there a U.S. law that makes these ships battle ready if needed? There was, Klein, not anymore though. That expired like 15 years ago, dude. They're museum ships. I only think we would take these things out of mothballs if the poop really hit the fan. But there's no need for them. The reason why the Iowas came back into practice was part of Ronald Reagan's 600 ship Navy plan. The U.S. basically went ham with defense spending in the first like 5 years of the 80s. So like Reagan's first term, the 600 ship Navy plan was basically it wasn't like necessarily like a naval modernization program, but it was basically have a navy that matches the Soviet Navy, right? And in order to do that, we needed a way to they needed a ship that could combat the Kirov class battle cruisers, which are basically a battleship with no turrets on it, but just a lot of missiles. They're nuclear-powered surface vessels with a lot of missiles on them. Yeah, a lot of missiles. So we needed something to combat that, and so they put the Iowas back into service and modernized the heck out of them. Like they should have called them BBG, but they still retained their guns, so I think it retained the battleship naming classification. We believe it's still in effect? Cool. That's right. Yep, you guys know your history. Yeah, it's like a Tycho. Yeah, exactly. It's like a Tycon with like a bigger version of a Ticonderoga. Yep, there you go. Cool looking ships, actually. I mean, I'd prefer the Iowa, but Kirovs are pretty neat looking. Seriously, it's a battleship with no turrets, just missiles, lots of missiles. And I will say that the red deck is that is a vibe. They look good in port. Indeed. Those are cool looking. I prefer the Iowa. Yeah. That's a nice looking ship. Look better at the bottom of the ocean. I would contend to say that the worst place a ship can be is in port. If it's at the bottom of the ocean, that implies it actually sailed, which is not what you want. Was that a recolor attempt? Oh, I don't know. I don't know, mate. Yeah, there's definitely something up about this picture. Look at the back of the superstructure. Yeah, something. This picture was probably taken in dark and then like colorized or something. Yeah, see what I'm talking about? There's no turrets. There's just lots of missiles. Nuclear powered, too. Once again, Prefer the Iowa, but that's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, a little bit of naval history there. Anyway, Kerbal time. Let's go. You've read up on the Kuznetsov. Yeah. Yeah, Tesla Max. Yeah. Now, everyone knows about the Kuznetsov, but do you know about the Varyag? Or the Liaoning, should I say? I hear most of your modules are up. Yeah. Belongs with the Belgrano. Another underrated comment. Artemis 2 picture. You son of a gun. I'm in. What about Red October? Magnetohydrodynamic drives. Did you know the Japanese actually tested one of those? It's about as useful as using an ion engine as a first stage. Nice, let's roll. A lot of things in here don't react well to bullets. So, actually, the Red October, for the people that don't know, is a Typhoon class. I believe the Russians call it Shark. So, Typhoon is its NATO reporting name, but Akula, or the Russian word for shark, is the Russian name for that. Which is not to be confused with the there's this, and then there's another NATO ship that has the reporting name Akula. I think that's an Alpha submarine or something. So the Soviets came up with this nutso idea of taking two submarine hulls and just think a Twix bar. Like a Twix bar in a package. Think that. Literally that. It's two submarine hulls bolted together. See? Twix bar. A lot of things in here don't react well to bullets. It's just two submarines glued together. Not just two. It's actually pretty ridiculous design, but... That's right, Tesla Max. Yep. Red October is a fantastic movie. Typhoons are nuts, dude. It's got a sauna. It's got a swimming pool in it. Yeah. Yeah, those are one ping only. So the Typhoon is just like an I-401. A Sentoku? Kind of, but for a different purpose, dude. Kind of. But not really. The Sentoku is... I mean, the I-400 is a weird submarine, man. You know, like when you see those weird Japanese cars that are like, they wanted to do this and they tried to do this. I see what they were trying to do, but that's just weird. Like if you look at, let's see, how about an AutoZam or something? Like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. That's kind of cool. It's got gull-wing doors. The problem is that it's the size of a golf cart. That's a K car. It's the size of a golf cart. Those wheels are maybe this big. AutoZams are cool for what it's worth. Now, but it's a little strange by Western standards, right? The i400 is one of those. So if you guys don't know what this is, the i400, and Tesla, you seem to know, but the i400 has an extra pressure vessel built onto the top of it. See that right there? Seaplane. Seaplane launcher. True story. It's a aircraft carrier submarine. Yep. Interesting idea. See? Aircraft carrier submarine. It's got a catapult built into the front on the top of the superstructure. Very interesting idea. So the idea is that the submarine would pop up out of the water for a second, launch a plane. That plane would go hit a ship when they weren't expecting it, and then the plane would just fly away and the submarine would meet it somewhere else. Interesting idea, right? It's a seaplane. They would just, Waterfall, the plane would just fly away and the submarine would meet it somewhere. Inside the main hull, there's two conventional hulls side by side so it wouldn't flip over. You think that's where they got the idea, Tesla Max? I mean, guys, the funny thing is that the Sentoku, right idea, weird execution, because what came later down the road in the US is amazingly similar to this. So the Regulus missile submarines, like the Growler, there's one in New York that's sitting by Intrepid, literally does the same thing, but with a cruise missile. It surfaces, the cruise missile pops out of one of these tubes, and then there's a launcher right here that comes out of the superstructure, Transformer style, and then they launch it. They launch Regulus missiles. Or they launched Regulus missiles. Regulus missiles are basically a jet engine with a bomb and some separatrons on the back to get off the carrier hull. Crazy, right? It's kind of the same idea. Well, actually, it's not. It's the same idea. It's the same exact thing. See? Same exact concept. Interesting idea. The Japanese were... That was kind of where that meta ended up, which is very interesting. Either way. Yeah, the spotter planes. Exactly, Sun Temple. Yep. I just did a Google search and found something about it, but the piece were all over the place, so I decided not to link any. Klein, I haven't really got any good information. I know that there was on that. And once again, my defense meta is not nearly as good as spaceflight. It used to be. Like, dude, I used to know tanks, guns, planes, whatever. Now, I've retained most of that plane knowledge, but I just kind of stopped doing it because space is cooler. The I-400 started a lot of thought towards what became boomers. Yeah, it's interesting, Tesla Max. Yeah, interesting. I never really thought of it like that. That was literally the precursor for a ballistic missile submarine. The laws were passed in 1996, though, and they expired in the mid-2000s, right? I remember reading about this when I was in high school. I would kill to see an Iowa sail again. But what could Iowa or a battleship do that an Arleigh Burke can't do nowadays? Goalie, I think if you honestly want to know, this is just EJ being an armchair general, all right? So keep in mind, fellas, I'm a civilian. I've never served. I like the tech. I'm here for the tech. But if we're going to look at it from a pure like financial point of view, what's cheaper, a Tomahawk missile or a 16-inch shell? What's cheaper to make? Hey, Law Dog, I'm good, man. The shell, easier to make, dude. And what would we be using for surface bombardment? Because the idea, the battleships, like despite what you guys think, or not what you guys think, despite like people think, battleships aren't. There was ship-to-ship combat in World War II, but battleships are for shelling targets inland. It's just a floating artillery platform. That's what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can take that artillery and point it at another ship. Sure. Yeah, they've been doing that for hundreds of years. But they're like a dreadnought-style battleship with a pivotable turret in a turret barbette is really designed for shelling targets inland in preparation for an amphibious assault. This is why the Iowa battleships, to the end of their career, had a complement of Marines on board manning the point defense weapons. Because it's at heart supporting amphibious assault. That's what they did during World War II. That's what most of the battleships did during World War II. So, I mean, a Burke would be able to launch using the VLS. It could launch missiles and hit inland targets, but I mean, the shells could too. I mean, the shells probably aren't as accurate, but it's definitely less expensive. I think one could make the argument there that guns are way less expensive than a missile. A missile is complicated. Yeah, Klein. Interesting. Marines manning point defense is exactly what the Marine Corps was founded for. Bingo. Going back to ships of the line, dude. What type of ship is best for ship-to-ship? Destroyers? No, Sethron. An attack submarine. So there's two kinds of submarines, guys, out there. If we're talking defense meta, or at least Western defense doctrine, we have two kinds of submarines. We have attack submarines and ballistic missile submarines. The attack submarines are designed to do exactly what you're talking about. Literally wipe the floor with any enemy combatant ship on the seas. That's what those are designed to do. Then you have ballistic missile submarines backing them up. The ballistic missile submarines are the ones that have like a bunch of we'll call them rocket launch pads on board, and they can launch things into space. We'll call it that. So there's attack submarines, and then there's boomer submarines. The boomer submarines are the ones that could literally kill every single living thing on this planet. One of them could. It's got a lot of potential energy in those hulls. Yeah, exactly, Tesla Max. Mm-hmm. So, in Western defense doctrine, dude, at least, I don't know, it may have changed. The Marine Corps stopped using tanks the other day. The Marine Corps removed tanks from their defense doctrine, which is weird. But I understand the reason. I mean, seriously, they gave up all their Abrams. They gave them back to the Army, which is strange. This was like last year or something. But yeah, so the defense meta changes. But as far as I remember, we have attack submarines and we have ballistic missile submarines. Ballistic missile submarines are death. You never want those things to do anything but just float around underwater. How did the fairing separations go last night? Also, the Air Force didn't join the STS program. If the Air Force didn't join the STS program, which design do you think you would have been chosen? Dream Chaser. It would have been something like Dream Chaser. That's what Max Fizet wanted to make, Zay. You've seen too much Apollo 13. You're mixing what they could do versus what they were designed to do. Yeah, passing around, right. Iowa and Wisconsin were finally stricken from the Naval Register in 2006. That's what I was thinking. I remember reading about that because I was bummed out, Klein. Setting up the upcoming 32 Zumwalt-class destroyers. I'll take comments that didn't age well for 600. Yes, you have to ask how expensive the launcher gun is, though. For instance, the Navy's new railgun. Aqualex, like a 16-inch Cal 50 Mark 7. The thing about that is that it's old school. It's easy to fix, easy to work on. You can fix that with the machine shop on board. Am I wrong? Well, maybe not. You can't rebarrel a 16-inch gun on a ship. I know that, but the fun fact, guys, most of the modern battleships, so like South Dakotas, Iowas, they had quick change barrels. You can it needs to go into the shipyard because it's a quick change barrel, but you're quick changing a 16-inch Cal 50 gun barrel, which is about as big and as heavy as a semi-truck. So it's quick change for the size. You could just swap the barrels out. So like anything else, as far as I know, Aqualex, you could fix it right on board. It maybe except for like the turret battery and the gun barrel. Zay, the station's pretty much finished, dude. We got to launch one more. What do you think about the recent deployment of the Abrams? I don't know, S. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know enough about what's going on to be able to say one way or the other whether it's a good or a bad idea. I don't know. And I'm not ashamed to say that I don't know. I want GPS guided 16-inch shells. Quick change as long as you have a crane. It's quick change for the size. Let's put it like that. Guys, a lot of folks don't know, if you've never served on a ship or you never served at all, every Navy ship has a machine shop on it. Like a full machine shop. Lathes, Bridgeport mills, everything. And I bet you nowadays they got CNC machines on there. That's to fix stuff. Stuff breaks. It happens. GPS guidance would breathe a lot of life. I mean, Hellfish, that's probably where I would go with that. But, Hellfish, my one question is like, the Iowas were modernized in the 80s. And I'll bet you they were modernized in anticipation of the Navstar system. So I'll bet you they have modern fire control systems hooked up to those 16-inch guns on the Iowas. Because if you watch the Battleship New Jersey YouTube channel, there's still parts of the ship they can't show. So some of the ship is still ITAR from a battleship that's been decommissioned for 30 years. Go figure. Heck, the Nimitz-class carriers, guys, can fully disassemble any plane that fly, any flyable thing that lands on that aircraft carrier. They have enough facilities and spare parts on board to rebuild, to rebuild anything. They can do 100% of the flight maintenance on it, like an F-18, Super Hornet, for instance. They can completely take it apart and put it back together. And swap every part except for the airframe. They have it's literally a warehouse, a floating parts warehouse in the aft end of the ship. F-14? Absolutely, they're gonna have to yeah, I bet you they have plasma cutter tables in there passing on like modern ships. Plasma cutter tables, CNC machines, all day. I'll bet you they have laser sinterers, dude, for making new plane components. They probably have a laser sinterer so they can make new aluminum for the aircraft. If an aluminum part on an F-18 or an F-35 or something has, wear, just print another one. Make space, not war. Absolutely, Sun Temple, right? Yeah. What does the fire control system actually mean? Are you actually asking? Nice, Claude boy. So, serious. All right. Well, let's pop into. Let's pop into here. Let's go here first. So, while that's loading up, I can't speak to any other ship, but if you want to know how the fire control system works, so, all right, you see that thing? Okay, obviously you have the business end down here. These are two 16-inch Cal 45 Mark 7. Or no, not Cal 45s. Those are Cal 50, 16-inch Cal 50. So a little bit of thing on naval guns here. 16 inches the caliber of the weapon, so that's the diameter of the bullet. Cal 50 is the length of the barrel using the caliber as your unit of measurement. So the barrel length, if you don't know what 16 inches, it's 406 millimeter. Big shells. So a 16-inch Cal 50, right, means that the barrel is 16 inches times 50 long. So if you go here to Quackulator, 16 inches times 50 is an 800-inch barrel. It's a big barrel. They are rifled, Jim, yes. It's a gun. It's a gun. That's the difference between a rifle and a cannon. A cannon has no grooves in it. No grooves in the barrel. A rifle, that's a gun. So, like, that thing is just a bigger version of, like, if you have a, like an AK or something. Like, tuck, 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 tuck. Oh, it's not gas impingement, right? This is just a big bolt-action rifle, if you really want to know. It's a 16-inch caliber bolt-action rifle. That's what it is. So 16-inch Cal 50 Mark 7. The ships that preceded the Iowa, the South Dakota class, had a 16-inch Cal 45 Mark 6. With the Iowas, they lengthened the barrel because they figured you could lengthen it for more accuracy, which was right. So, serious, we're talking about fire control systems. Okay, so you see these things right here? That little thing that looks like a turret? That's an FCS. Now, there's 4 FCSs on an Iowa. There's port starboard, fore and aft, okay? That's the forward fire control system. That's the starboard fire control system. The port side one you can't really see. And then there's the aft FCS, which you could just see the back of over there. So, what do these things do? Okay, picture a sniper. I said these things were like bolt-action rifles, right? Picture a sniper, like a two-man sniper team. What do you have? You have a guy, obviously the shooter, with the gun. And then you have a spotter, okay? Literally the guy with binoculars, the guy that measures but takes wind samples, looks for the targets, and basically instructs the shooter on where to shoot. It's literally that. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not just a giant telescope. It's a giant radio telescope. Differences. So this thing is basically the eyes for the turrets, the fire control system. What this is basically a radar. It's basically a radar and it's gun sights. There literally is a sighting mechanism on this. And the turrets also had a manual sighting mechanism. That's what those wings are right there. See that? You have a manual sighting. The guns can be shot manually if they need to. This thing relays, it basically bounces a radar off of, if I'm remembering right, it bounces radar off of it, like where you want to shoot. How far is the target away? You can use radar to figure out how far it is away. Right? By bouncing radio waves off of another ship, for instance. So that'll give you your direction and distance. And from there, right, and obviously if you can see the damn thing, you can look at it and you can kind of figure out how far it is away. From there, that information is relayed to what's called a Combat Information Center. So the Combat Information Center is basically the brains of a battleship. Every ship has them. That's what like a modern CIC looks like. It's got mood lighting in it. You've seen this in movies. It's a really dark room with blue backlighting. And it's really, they're super dark in there. That flag's the wrong way, by the way. So on an Iowa, that information, distance and direction gets relayed to down to the CIC, and it goes to this thing. See, there's your fire control system right there. It goes to this. You know what that is? It's a computer, an analog computer. This thing is basically designed to do the math for the trigonometry required to figure out, based off of the direction and range of the target, figure out where to point the gun, and also taking into account windage. It does the artillery, it does the trigonometric artillery calculations for you. And then from there, from the CIC, that gets relayed to the turrets. That gets relayed to guys that are sitting in the very back of the turret. Those guys sitting in the back of the turret tell everybody else inside of the turret where to point the gun, how high to put the barrel, and what azimuth you need to point it at. So your pitch, your angle of attack would be an airplane term, but the pitch of the gun barrel and where to point it. And then you fire. Found you and Brimo's next date spot. Oh, jeez, no. Wasn't there a case in World War II where a 16-inch gun deliberately shot an airplane out of the sky? I'm sure it happened. VFT to BB-59? Yeah. Yeah, elevation. That's what it's called. Elevation. Yep. So, it's funny. When you're shooting at a target that's 14, 15 miles away, fellas, you have to take into account Earth's non-uniform gravitational pull. It's called the Coriolis effect. You know how a satellite up in space, like a satellite in a sun-synchronous orbit, uses Earth's non-uniform gravitational pull to shift the longitude of ascending node? Right? Or the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter that's orbiting around the moon uses a stable resonant orbit around the moon using the moon's non-uniform gravitational pull to keep its orbit boosted. It's called a resonant orbit. They have to take that into account when you're talking about a suborbital trajectory that has an apogee a couple miles up in the air and a range like 14, 15 miles that way. You have to take into account the gravitational pull of Earth. Oh, absolutely. I thought the Coriolis effect was taking the Earth's spin into account when firing long distances. I could have explained it better, but it's long story short, you got to take gravity into account. The Combat Engagement Center, it's different on an Iowa. Okay, here, let me see. So they have a CIC and a CEC. Look at how thick that freaking wall is. Or that bulkhead, I should say. It's not a wall. Yep. Hey, Nick, 48 months. And just about everything else, too, including humidity for larger projectiles. Yep. All that information is computed by that thing. It literally looks like something from Fallout. I've seen one up close. The South Dakota class battleships the South Dakota class battleship. There's the USS Massachusetts in Fall River. It has one of those in it. And I looked at it and I'm like, like I said, it looks like something out of Fallout. So the information from there gets relayed on the ship. Well, basically, it gets relayed basically to the guys in the back of the turret. The guys that control the turret are back here. They're sitting in the back. And that's why they have gun sights. That's what those things are. The wings on the back of the turret, gun sights. Note that the forward turret doesn't have the wings. The back one does. Because you can basically extrapolate from these gun sights where to point this turret based off of where that turret is working. These two turrets basically work in tandem. They work in tandem because they're both grandfathered by the fire control system. Pretty cool, huh? Also, cool thing to note, I said there was a port and starboard fire control system. This FCS is linked to the 5-inch Cal 38 Mark 38 twin barrel turrets on the sides. There used to be 5 of them, but they replaced 2 of them with Tomahawk missiles and close-in weapon systems, which is pretty rad. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that these guns make a lot of turbulent air. Yeah. Thanks for making the traffic time interesting. Yeah, Arclex, I could have explained it better, but it's basically a perturbing force from the Earth's spin. But yeah, that would be a better way to explain it. Pretty cool, huh? An analog computer. Yep. Hey, that's the KSP. That ship's in Boston. Yeah, see? Fire control systems. That thing is pretty high tech for World War II. Basically, it'll tell you exactly where to shoot. Now, if you look on the KSP here, which is a Fletcher, right? That is linked to the 2 5-inch Cal 38. I forget what mark that turret is, but it's a single barrel version of those same turrets that are on the Iowa. They switched it to a double barrel version, which is crazy. And then there should be an aft fire control system somewhere over here to control the back 3 turrets, but I forget. I don't know where it is. I think it's behind the stack right there. They stopped firing all the guns at the same time because of the force. Yeah, you have to stagger fire it. But so Goalie, artillery does this really nutso thing. It's a freaking maniacal thing to do. But it's pretty dang smart, right? So they stagger the guns. You don't want to fire all the guns at the same time because the ship will it'll list to port here if you fired all of them at the same time. What they do, another thing that you do is because you're staggering the weapon systems, and artillery does this. I don't remember what the name of this is. So basically, you take one turret and you point it here. You take the other turret, you point it a little bit higher, and you take the third turret and point it the highest. Just little differences. Back turret fires first, this turret fires second, this turret fires third, right? So it's boom, 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 right? The reason they do that is because if you think about the ballistic arc of the one that's pointed higher, it's going to have a longer flight time, right? The other guns, the one that's pointed kind of midway, that's going to have a shorter flight time, so you fire that one second. The one that's down the lowest is going to have the shortest flight time, right? Because it's more straight, right? It's not going to go as high. And basically what you can do is you can time the guns so they all the shells hit at the exact same time. It is a maniacal thing to do. Can you imagine getting hit by 9 16-inch shells all at the same time? No thanks. They wouldn't even find pieces of you. There's nothing. Gone. Yes, I do believe I would be dead. Yes, you would die of death. Time on target is what it's called. There you go. Yeah, if I'm getting hit, I think just one would do. I mean, you wouldn't feel it for what it's worth. It's like that quote in Speed, Tessa. Yeah, thing like this, they don't even count body parts. They'll be picking you up with a sponge. Fellas, check this out. When's the last time you did anything ship-related in KSP? It's been years, Shrub. It's been years, dude. Afternoon, feeling better? I slept with my head hanging off the side of the bed, Sawyer. So I have a knot in my neck right now that feels like someone is just constantly pushing on the back right side of my neck, you know. So yeah, I slept with my head lying off the side of the bed like this for whatever reason. I know because if I do that, it hurts like hell. All right, cool. Other than that, I'm good. Yeah. Did you try the hot chocolate, by the way? Yeah, it's good, Tessa. I mean, it tasted exactly the same as the one that we have, as the hot chocolate we have here. Did Brimo push you out? I mean, maybe. She likes to crowd my side of the bed. I don't know what the heck that's about. Don't do that. If I had control over it, I probably wouldn't, man. Bro, you need Jesus or something. Dude, when I sleep, I sleep. Auckland is in a state of emergency. We had so much rain yesterday. Some private weather stations recorded just about 400 millimeter of rain. Half the city is underwater. Oh. All right. Tunage. This was not my fault. Your neck wasn't off the side of the bed. It was on my side of the bed. I doubt it. How do you know? You were asleep. Have a parking lot of spicy Volvos. Yeah, it's Brimo's fault, Novus. That's right. Check it out, dudes. We've been using our prototype transfer vehicle service module to finish off the rest of the modules for the station. All we really need to do is put the cupola on. But I haven't really figured out the fairing problems that are happening with Jebstone. Yeah, Claudebot, that's ridiculous. Yeah, Aqualex, oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, Bri, in all honesty, I think I need my pillow combination is not working. Will you be using the same transfer vehicle to get to the moon? Well, yeah, granted, but it'll be bolted up with other vehicles. Why the move from Jebstone? Why the move to Jebstone from the shuttle? You needed to test the transfer vehicle service module, Shaw. Yeah, that and the arm takes too long. I proved that the arms work, and I'm not gonna lie to you, they are still more precise. They are more precise than docking stuff, like way more precise, because you can take your time and just go slow, but too slow, dude. So I figured, you know, let's build the transfer vehicle service module, and then we'll figure out, build the transfer vehicle service module, and then we'll figure out the rest from there. Unfortunately, I kind of pressed Jebstone into service way too quickly, and I lost 3 payloads last night. I'm not too happy about that. I lost a solar array, which sucks, and then I lost the first Echo Lab and the first Foxtrot Lab. We lost 3 payloads out of 6 launches last night because, honestly, stupid reasons. I went too fast, but it's okay. There were some problems with Jebstone's fairing, but... So, I built an extended fairing variant, and it worked in engineering mode, and then I put it into mission mode. Dude, when I say it out loud, it's so stupid. I put it into mission mode and figured the fairing wasn't long enough. So I had to extend it a little bit, and when I extended it, for whatever reason, when I extended the fairing, for whatever reason, it went from working just fine. I extended it maybe this much. It went from working just fine to blowing up. Yeah, it blew up a couple of fairing plates, and that was the end of that. I lost about 300 grand, which sucks, but it is what it is. So, anytime you see a module that has a 2 next to it, it's one of the original ones is at the bottom of the ocean. So, like, my P2 solar array is now the P3 solar array, which kind of sucks, but I'm not too happy about that. But it is what it is. Hey, Warder. So, yeah, check it out, dudes. We still got to put the cupola module up there, but, yeah, other than that, the station is great, running really well. Yeah, we'll call it manufacturing issues with the fairing. Yep, solar panels, everything is working. Everything is good. Station works fine. Even the arm still works. We do need to put the cupola module on. That's the last module. And then I was going to put another shuttle docking ring up here, but we'll use that shuttle docking ring for other things. What version of KSP, what version do you play on for KSP? The newest one. Yeah, Aqualux probably. I mean... It's very bad, but do you hear yourself? You'd only been able to lose 1 to 2 shuttles at most in the same time frame, which would be way worse, but it goes to show the improved cadence of a simpler system. I don't understand what that means. I don't lose shuttles. The shuttle... Yeah, if you're saying, you know, the shuttle takes a little bit more time, but I dialed that system in, the shuttle is perfect, dude. It works fine. The RCS could use some tweaking. I really need to mess with the RCS fine controllers on that thing. Other than that, dude, it performs excellent. Like, literally nothing wrong. It gets you back. It gets you there and back every time. This has been quite a mission mode, and I've been impressed at every stage. Thanks, Oapsalot. If you're talking about me pushing Jebstone into service too quickly, yeah, of course, that happens, dude. That's what happens when you push stuff. I mean, it's nothing I didn't know, and it's not like there's really any penalty for it, but yeah, I'm still not. So maybe we could get Jebstone all dialed in today, in engineering mode. Just get it figured out, get the thing working, and maybe make some improvements here and there, just in case. But we also need to work on the lunar transfer vehicles, too. I want to work on a baseline design, and I think the new transfer module that we have, the transfer service module, is amazing. I'm really happy with that thing. Shuttle takes 3 to 4 times longer. Well, that's because of simulation rate, dude. I'm pretty dang sure if we didn't... Hellfish, if I get the numbers that I need, the numerical combinations for the arm, and then bake them into a Cal controller like what Chad has been saying, if we do that, and if we had a better simulation rate, because the station's 900 parts right now, if we had a better simulation rate, the shuttle missions wouldn't be nearly as long. But you do have to go slow with the arm. But I have the capability now if I need it, which is great. Yep, CTS-16, the shuttle assembly mission that brought up the Delta modules, that mission went perfect, by the way. Actually, no, it was 16 brought up the P1 solar array. But yeah, everything is working. Everything is working well. That's the CTS-16 was the one that brought up the crew. But yeah, the transfer module does work, dude. It's really good. It can be used as an orbital tug, or we can use it as a service module. Here, I'll show you. Yeah, it's fair, Aqualux. So now that we have the majority of the modules kind of engineered out, it should just be a matter of putting them together, guys. The truss segments, the solar panel modules. I'm just gonna, what I want to do here, guys. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you exactly what I want to do. I want to figure out ways to use what we have: space station modules, external tanks, SLS core stages, truss segments, cupola modules, robotic arms, transfer tugs, centaurs, whatever, to build out the NSTS. The NSTS is the original National Space Transportation System. Look at what some of these words say on here and then tell me what's good. Tell me we wouldn't be able to do this pretty dang easily. Can the Puma stage fit in the payload bay with the service module pre-attached? Yes. Yes, it can. See what I'm talking about here? We don't need the synchronous orbit station. We're not doing that. This part, though. I went back to that Gerstenmaier clip again, and I think I'm on board with what he said about taking a moment to pause to make sure they're doing the smartest thing so that they don't have to weigh down the process in the later stage. Yep. So, this is what we want to do. Build out the real NSTS. Stuff like this. See this? Crew module, cargo module, probe, satellite, whatever. Prop module. The prop module in this particular scenario is our is Centaur or Puma. And then I basically want to use this architecture to build out a fueling station. Nope. I want to use it to, not like that. That's the decrepit orbiter, or the old orbiter thing. Taking orbiters that have reached their useful end and using them as space stations. I hate that idea. I hate it with fiery passion. I'm talking about doing stuff like this. But I want to take this one step further. I want to use this to not just build space stations, but build transfer vehicles. I want to see if we can build out something analogous to the Grissom, to a Grissom from my old save, but using space station parts, shuttle pallets, and external tanks. That's what we're going to do. We'll start by making transfer modules that go out to the moon with Centaur and the transfer vehicle service module. But I want to do stuff like this. We have the solar panel modules. We know they work. The station project was basically just a test. It was basically just a test to make sure that all this stuff can be put together in space. It was a test to use the arms. Using empty ETs as strongbacks? Well, fuel tanks for transfer vehicles. Oh, that's savage, dad joke. Jeez. So, prototype transfer vehicle. Let's go in here. So this is kind of a prototype vehicle that we were messing with the other day. We need to add a bit to it, though. No, the pics that you were showing. I wouldn't necessarily say strongbacks, right? But it looks like they found it looks like these external tanks are equipped with some type of mechanism to hold the shuttle keel pin in position. This game is mine. It's not what you heard. It's what you hearing. Listen. So, here's the transfer vehicle that we were messing with. The service module transfer vehicle. Here it is. I want to use the aft cargo carrier, guys, if that's what you're referring to. Oh, no. That's how the Rough Riders roll. So, here's the transfer vehicle that we were messing with. Let me show you guys what it looks like. It's basically just a space station module with that's basically a service module, see? So that means we don't need those. The radiators are in position. Yeah, kind of passing. Those look like they pick up on shuttle keel pins just by how those are mounted. There's a mount on the bottom of the payloads, just like on my shuttle payloads. There's a mount on the bottom. That's where they're docked inside of the shuttle payload bay. Like all of my modules that go into the shuttle's bay have docking ports down the bottom. But anyway, so here's the transfer vehicle. The transfer vehicle, we have a shuttle bay cart. I don't think we need that for this design, so I'm gonna get rid of that. And then the module's right here. So. What I wanted to do is this. So the transfer vehicle here, the thing we were using to install stuff on the station is basically going to act as the service module for the Puma. See how it basically fits? It's designed to all fit together. I'm gonna have to do some modifications to the Puma to get it to work right, but to get it to connect correctly. But so I'm talking about something like that. See what I mean? That's a service module, similar to the Esprit module that's going on Gateway. These early transfer vehicle prototypes that we're gonna make here. We're going to start by doing a lunar flyby. But basically, you got a hab module up here. And then I put a shuttle docking port up at the front, but maybe we should. Puma is Centaur, yeah. Because I named it Centaur is an imaginary animal, so I named it another imaginary animal. Yeah, Puma's an imaginary animal, guys. Puma isn't... No. See that antenna? That looks like a tusk. What kind of animal has tusks? What? Didn't I tell you to stop making up imaginary animals? What in Sam hell's a puma? Kerbal's transfer through the new service module. I mean, you could, RJ, but there's just a fuel tank back there. Stop making up imaginary animals. I guess that joke's too old. I guess that joke's a little too old, fellas. I don't know I don't know how to feel about that. I think so, Novus, considering the KSP Twitter account has been posting like individual Kerbals for a good while. Here, look. If we go look at the KSP Twitter, about a month ago, dude, they were posting about all these different Kerbals here. See? I'm Johnwyn. If you look, I said I'm Johnwyn because Johnwyn was thought to be responsible for the destruction of the recreational launch pad. Yep. Yep, that's me. Yep. That's me. Pumas live in the US. Man, you missed that joke, Ando, so hard. Damn, dude. Wow. You saw the new KSP video today? Cool. What's that, Sile? Oh. Okay. Link pulls. Okay. Johnwyn looks like Near T. See, over here, I found Twitch chat. Twitch chat's over here. Easily amused by computer parts. Yeah, that's you. That's you. I need it for reference. Anyway, so yeah, Novus, I think they're gonna have more. That's just me. So, all right, let's think about this. So, no, this is Patrick. Just a Krusty Krab? No, this is Patrick. I noticed some things with how these two go together. But yeah, the service module has its own propulsion system, guys, but that's not, obviously we're not going to use it. But yeah, this is what I want to do. The cool thing about it is that my service module is basically a European service module. Well, that's not the European service module. It's basically that. Yeah, it's that. It's basically that minus the AJ10. Doesn't need that. I have a smaller service propulsion system on it because yeah, fellas, I don't know if, I mean, some of you guys may have picked this up, but some of you guys may have picked this up, but it's that minus Orion. Transfer vehicle looks good. Cool thing about it is that I gave it, check it out, I gave it articulatable solar panels. Planning to make a capsule? Verdict on that is, jury's still out on that. Granted, I might. I was thinking about it. I mean, it would make sense once we really start going beyond low Kerbal orbit, like, but also building a capsule Like, if you're building a capsule, like, what's the point of having the shuttle? You know what I mean? Stick Dart on the front instead? Dart? So, I mean, I suppose, from here back is basically good to go. I need to make some modifications. A capsule for beyond low carbon orbit? Novus, I wouldn't mind doing that, but the problem with that is... might not be the worst idea. Bring back Dart. Dart needs to be redone from the ground up. Hang on, guys. Got another message. I was wondering how much harder would it be to return from Earth orbit from the moon. See, guys, I built in enough Delta V into this design to be able to not have to worry about having, like, I don't need to build a capsule that goes BLEO, like that can re-enter from beyond low Earth orbit. I engineered enough into this design to not have to do that. Yeah, why would we bring re-entry capabilities? The whole idea using the shuttle is to have the ship come back down and then launch a shuttle to go get them. You know? It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it? We the product of some cosmic coincidence? No, I mean, why are we here in this canyon? Oh, yeah. I mean, I could put together a really nice capsule, dude. I was thinking about it the other day. And the capsule could fit. It could fit inside of Shuttle's payload bay. And because, think about it, if you think about it, fellas, I have the service module already. It's right there. Just got to put a capsule on the front. Done. It would end up looking something like Starliner, but there's your capsule. I'm just not really sure where it's gonna... Shuttle carrying a capsule seems cursed to you. I do see the usefulness of it. I will say it's probably gonna be... It'd probably be a good idea to do something like this in the future. But there's... Why would we... I mean, maybe as a lifeboat, that would be a good call. Yeah, the shuttle was going to carry X-38. That's right. Yeah. See, that's not a bad idea. See, like, I mean, some people said bring Dart back as a joke, but also at the same time, fellas, it ain't a bad idea. Capsule return is simpler. That's true, Novus. But I haven't flown capsules in KSP in years. I honestly don't remember how to... We'd have to... So, like, here's the thing. Here's my problem. I wouldn't mind making a capsule, fellas. I wouldn't mind making something... I wouldn't mind even bringing Dart back and fixing all the problems that piece of junk had. I wouldn't mind doing any of that. That puts us back in engineering mode. It's going to take at least a week. We don't have a week. We don't have 4 weeks. I have all the architecture ready to go now. That's always been my thing. I would love to build a capsule, dudes, but I'd love to build a capsule. I would love to bring Dart back as a good hoorah and fix my stupid Mission Mode 2 save. Avenge the Mission Mode 2 save, but Dart 2.0 is maybe better left for KSP 2. Yeah. Schedule pressure, too real. I know. Capsule and lander should be pretty easy. I want to go all over the solar system, Hangman. So yeah, Loopy, we took the transfer vehicle was just a prototype service module for the Puma. That's all it was. That's why, and I wanted to get some flight time with it under my belt. I wanted to get some flight time with it under my belt so we could easily just attach this. One of my design things for this was that it was able to fit inside of a shuttle's payload bay. The shuttle could build the transfer vehicle in 2 launches, basically. This isn't finalized. I know about that. I need to do some slight changes for the Puma. We just have a payload attachment fitting on it right now. I need to fit it with the berthing mechanism, or my docking port. The docking port design, we need to fit it with that. I lost my train of thought, dudes. Oh yeah, capsules. Guys, yeah, we don't have the time. I mean, the shuttle missions that are just going and swapping crews and fuel off the transfer vehicles is not that big of a deal. Presumably the transfer module is going to have a dorsal ventral port for landers to dock, right? Yeah, that's what that... Originally, that was supposed to be... I wanted to put... Originally, I wanted to put that there. Or actually, the bigger box is this one. I wanted to put those there. That's when I was still like... Oh, maybe we should... Maybe we should build the service module into a transfer module, but no. That's going to end up having 6-axis node pieces like the Delta modules on the station. To be honest, just rip off the engine pods when it'll be used as a service module, or replace the tanks with more monopropellant. Yeah. Why angle the solar panels like that? Wouldn't it be more efficient if they were all roughly pointed in the same direction? It's articulatable, Jim. Yeah, Loopy, look at our DV numbers. It'll get us to low lunar. This will get to low lunar and back. Easily, actually. Do you intend to share the service module's propellant? That's what I'm thinking about, guys. Yeah, we gotta... This was a good prototype for what we were messing with, but we really should finalize how all that goes together. Yeah, Jim, these work like Orion's solar panels. So if we're decelerating, right? So if we're capturing the moon, these will go into the forward position. if we're doing translunar injection, they'll go into the backward position, just like on Orion. I'm thinking, where does this need to go? If we did this with like the shuttle docking port, just out of curiosity, we did something like that, how far is our center of thrust off? Yeah, it's off a pretty good deal. Okay. All right, well, Pig's like, I'm not sure about sharing propellant, but I went to the New Mexico Space History Museum. It was really cool. All right, Lisa, what do you got? Oh, that's cool. Oh, neat. Oh, they got a lot of cool stuff there. Neat. Are we using reusable landers or disposable ones? Nah, too far, Loopy. Too far. Too far. Let's think about using what we have, using the parts that we have, about getting to low lunar. This is enough delta V to get us to low lunar and back. Easily enough delta V. Here, actually, we'll do that, and then let me shut out that there. Check the fuel delivery overlay. Yeah, okay, those tanks were shut out to begin with. 2228. That is enough to get us. I've done the calculations out. I know that that's right. I just got to, for the sake of explaining it. So we need to get from here to that stop right there. So that's 860, 280 to a 14-kilometer circular orbit, and then 280 and 860 back. That's what I need. That's $22.80. That's cutting it a little close. I should water. It's not a bad idea. See, take it over to Kinko's and get a 4-foot poster of it. Nice. The first time, granted, we'll just do a flyby, but honestly, that's too much. The service module is too heavy, interestingly enough. But it's reasonable to assume that the service module won't have that much fuel in it. But if we let the fuel go, if we unlock the tanks of the service module, now what? And then we re-enable the crossfeed here, 2700, then we're good. Nice, Zal. What happens if we just put that right there? 27. I don't want to. So, Oculix, you said like, oh, take it out and replace it with monopropellant. Well, I want this thing to also be able to be used as a tug if we need to. So, like, once we get back to low Kerbal orbit, it would be maybe like we need to store these modules, right? Because we want to discard the Puma for something else. Hint, hint. You know, this can separate with the transfer vehicle, and we proved that this can bring it to a station and just leave it there. That's the idea. See what I'm talking about? So, okay, I know what I need to do. I'm gonna stop wasting time. Let's go in here, and I need to modify the Puma to have the CBM on it. So we got to modify some things here. So the first thing I'll do is get rid of this, and then we'll select the Puma's fairing here, which should be its... There we go. All right, get rid of that. Move this back, and now we got to modify. Actually, I don't mind kind of having the CBM kind of floating out like that. That's still a problem. Obviously can't have the short band antenna on Puma hitting the engine. Okay. Okay, we need its fastener strut right there. What's this whole thing making return, or just the Puma? Because that's plenty of delta V if you're leaving the capsule module in low curve in orbit. This whole thing I want to be able to circularize around the moon, Plodboy. Parts check. This whole thing I want to be able to circularize around the moon with a transfer vehicle for rendezvous with an orbiter. Or a lander, excuse me. Now, another thing that I want to check, just out of curiosity here, is set the front of the service module as root part. Get rid of this. And let me put... Where are we getting with 9 tons of fuel? Just out of curiosity. All right, so 2180 is where we're at right now. So 2180 minus 860 plus 2.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
How much delta V do we have? 2180. 1140. 2180 minus 1140. Okay, I need to make this, give this 1000 delta V. So what we'll do is we'll drain the tanks to half and see what happens. Give me a ballpark. A little bit lower than that. Alright, that's close enough. So 996. And say we wanted to bring our fuel can back. Say we're removing fuel to refuel a lander, just for instance, okay? We would drain the fuel out. Now how much delta V do we have? We have more than enough for this thing to come back and... Yeah, cool. Excellent. Word. Yep. Okay. That's more than enough fuel. So I'm seeing, like, can we bring 9 tons of fuel out? Yeah. Yeah, this thing, the service module in a Puma, if we have a shuttle, if we have a fuel tank that could be brought up in the shuttle, we could just attach it here and it could easily get fuel out to the moon. No problem. Like, it's not even close. That's really simple. Real simple to do. So you'd have one of these service modules permanently built out as a tanker and one for crew. No, it's not permanently built as a designated tanker, Loopy. We could make the transfer vehicles do anything. We could make them do whatever we want. Yeah, they can do whatever. So, like, this could have a tanker on the front, or we could have a hab module on the front. I mean, don't get me wrong. One will probably stay with the hab module, right? That makes sense. See, this is the other reason why I was thinking a pod might not be the worst idea. Because we'll have a control point for the entire vehicle that detects as crew. See, the interesting thing, guys, is that if I put, like, a hab module like this on there and put Kerbals in it, we're still beholden to the antennas. Still beholden to the antennas, which... Yeah, if we go out of signal, the Kerbals won't be able to control the craft, which is why a pod might not be the worst idea. And we can make it so we could bring the pod back down if we want, but... we'll have the heat shield there in case of some kind of ridiculous emergency, you know. Like if I screw something up, the pod can re-enter and it can come back down. Maybe use 2 of the 2.5 lander cans instead. .25 lander can might not be the worst idea. That might not be the worst idea. Build that right into this. I actually like that idea because that gives us an airlock. And we have doors. Yeah, I like that. That's more in line with the shuttles, the idea of what we wanted to do with the shuttle. Yeah. What the frick? And if we have control point up, they're controlling from the right spot. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Hey, Acton. Yeah, having a pilot ride in the lander can will give us a control point, a crude control point. I like, yeah, Loopy, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I mean, S was saying use a cupola module, but the problem, and that's a good idea. Using the cupola would be great. But the thing about that is I need a place for the shuttle to dock. I need the shuttle docking port on there. If we don't have the shuttle docking port on there, we're going to have a bad day. You just have a Kerbal ride in the lander can. I don't like that. I don't like that idea. First of all, that won't fit. It won't fit inside of the shuttle bay if we're trying to dock. The only way that's going to work is if we berth and we don't have same vessel collision right there. So that's off the table. I don't want to do that. I mean, we could have the shuttle berth to the transfer vehicle. It's not that big of a deal, but docking is easier. Like I said, we have the arms in case we need them, but we don't absolutely need them all the time. Sorry, I got a knot in my neck. That's not good. Don't do that again. Nah, asymmetry is gonna make this design harder. It's just gonna make the vehicle handle worse. What's that, Zay? Nice. Okay, transfer vehicle. Transfer. If I put that right there. I'm designing it in my head, guys, and then we'll build it. Off topic, but I would like to tap into your experience in adulting. Last if you have time. When you were apartment hunting, what were things that you found out you wish you had knew before moving in? Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, Jackery. Look, it's pretty easy to spot if your landlord's an idiot. Like, you just see stuff that's not maintained. Like, you go into an apartment complex and there's like the grass is overgrown and, you know, the building looks old, etc., etc. Your landlord probably sucks. You know, that's probably the best. Don't overthink it. Just, if it looks like crap and it smells like crap, you probably have a crappy landlord. Your landlord's probably a dick. Don't get me wrong, it's his property, do whatever he wants with it. But you don't have to live there. Remember that. Check the plumbing and wiring. Yeah, Biff. Yeah, just go and look. Just go and look. I mean, if you see, if the kitchen looks like it's from 1987, then yeah, don't live there. Yeah, also understand the tenant laws. But yeah, don't overthink it, dude. It's probably the best one. Swing by at night to see if there's noisy neighbors. Yep. Price isn't the end all be all. You're going to be living there. You should enjoy it. That's what I mean, Novus. Yeah. If you can't afford it, don't go outside your means. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm getting at, dude. Don't overthink it. Like the apartment that I lived in, dude, it was close. It was close to my parents, so it wasn't that far away. It was close to the train tracks, so Brimo could get to work because she was commuting to work in Boston at the time. It wasn't the best apartment, but it was also inexpensive. But the roof leaked. The roof freaking leaked. But that's not, I mean, I told them about it, and they didn't fix it. It's not my problem. You fix your own damn roof. I ain't doing it for you. It's not that ain't my job. In fact, I pay you to fix it. You know, but we put up with that because it was close to the tracks. was close to the train tracks so Brimo could commute to work, and it was close to my parents' house. You use mod? Oh yeah. I mean, Tylen, if I was a landlord, my building would be immaculate. It would be immaculate. But my price would be higher because my building is immaculate. You could choose any place to live. My place is nice and clean, and I would expect my tenants to do the same thing. Oh yeah, Jackery, another thing is if you do decide to move in, take pictures of the empty apartment. Take pictures of everything. Take pictures of the floors, the appliances, exactly how it looked right when you got it. Do that. Because when you move out, if you have a security deposit, and the landlord goes up there and he says, no, you dented the stove. You broke the stove, and the floors are all, and there's like a hole through the drywall where you hung a picture or something. I need your security deposit to fix the apartment. You say, no, I have pictures. Nice try. I use station part expansion. Cool. Yeah, exactly. They'll try to swindle you if they think you're a bad tenant. It's annoying, but it is what it is. Anyway. Yeah, the way that life can suck. You live with roaches once. Yep. Best pod. It looks like an anteater. Yeah, everything is negotiable, dude. It's all contract, so everything's negotiable. Remember that. That's one thing I learned when I bought a house. Everything has a price. Everything is negotiable. There's no like fixed sale thing for buying a house or buying a car. You can negotiate everything. You can wheel and deal. That's really cool, actually. I think that's really neat. I like it. I like that you have the freedom to be able to negotiate something like that. It makes it so landlords can't stick it to you if you know what to do. Or if you're a landlord, it makes it so tenants can't stick it to you. Everything is negotiable, man. Everything. Like in the old apartment, when Brimo changed jobs, and keep in mind this is before the pandemic, when Brimo changed jobs and she needed to buy a car to commute, we negotiated for another parking space. We had to pay a little bit more, but we got 2 parking spaces instead. Hey peeps, is EJ live or not? Yeah, I'm live. Are you live? Yeah, to memory, I'm here. Are you live? Are the VODs that indistinguishable on Twitch's UI from like a live cast? Yeah, Biff, there you go. Yeah, Warder, that's gotta be it, right? I'm pretty sure we've seen this station years ago. Yeah. Hi there. What's up, Jimmy? Alright, anyway. Yeah, Jack, take pictures. Know your rights as a tenant. And yeah, if it looks like crap and it smells like crap, don't settle. You live there. It's offline for you. To memory, I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably on your end. Alright, I'm going to finalize the design here. There's one more thing I do want to check though. I just gotta check another thing here. DJ? Garage stretch, right? Alright. Have you linked this audio yet? Yeah, of course. Alright, we can garage stretch brake FX, I suppose. Let me just put this stuff in position so I don't forget where it goes. What I was just checking, guys, is to see if my service module, the Puma extension vehicle, can act as a lander or a descent stage, and it kind of can. It, you know, just replace the solar panels with legs. It could. You could use this as a lander stage, but it doesn't really have enough delta V. We would need to make a modified variant of it. Another thing that we could do is just stack two of these modules on top of each other. As an ascent and descent module, that would definitely do it. I don't mind that idea. Okay, cool. Let's get rid of that. I don't want that there. Your droids, we don't want them here. And then we got to redo that. I got to redo the attachment mechanism here. And then we have to make the transfer, the habitation and transfer vehicle. And then we got to figure out a shuttle docking port solution. Yeah. Alright, anyway. You guys want to do a stretch break now. I suppose now's the time.